Good afternoon and welcome to Nationwide. We're live in Abuja. I'm Hawa Salihu Adama. Our starting point today is North Africa. In furtherance of his administration's respect and high regard for the women folk, President Muhammadu Buhari participated at a special session devoted to advancing the contributions of women to peace, security and development. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the session is part of the Aswan Forum for Sustainable Peace, Security and Development in Africa, holding in the Arab Republic of Egypt.
Although President Muhammadu Buhari did not speak at the forum, he, alongside other African leaders, listened with rapt attention as the panelists made up of mainly activists harped on the need for women to be taken more seriously. They say women, as a powerful force for sustainable peace and development, need more than just a seat at the table to unleash their potential in critical decision-making towards preventing conflict and sustaining the peace. The panelists, including the former interim President of the Central African Republic, Catherine Samba Panza, are of the view that for the desired results to be achieved, structural barriers to women empowerment and gender equality must be addressed.
We take the bold decision to say 50-50. What we mean is critical mass of women in government,
so that all of us can be at par.
Presidential media advisor Femi Adesina described President Buhari's participation at the session as significant and instructive.
When the guns boom, who are the ones that suffer most? Women and children and old people. Therefore, this session talking about the role women can contribute in peace building is very significant. You heard different speakers from different parts of the world talking of how women can be involved even in negotiations for peace. So I think it's a very good one that our president was here. He will have a lot to take home about what women can contribute even to resolving conflicts in different parts of the country.
Buhari, I think, more than any other president, has done so much to involve women in governance, and to also give them very critical roles in his government and in his administration. So that tells you that the president has a very soft spot and the highest respect for women and what they can do and what they can contribute towards the development of Nigeria.
The governors of Adamawa and Yobe states speak on their takeaways from the Women's Forum, given their peculiar security situation.
In Adamawa, because we know women are the catalyst in peace and sustainable development, we have involved them in almost all aspects of governance. Where I have used them so far, they were able to deliver essentially well to the betterment and advancement of the state in general. And very soon I will also be using them in finance, because I feel even at the national level they manage the finance very well than men themselves. So I think it is high time that we start using our women in most aspects of life.
Peace is prerequisite to development, and at the same time inclusivity is very, very important, especially at this critical time. The continent is coming together to take a common position on women inclusivity in governance. You cannot develop a society without the participation of women. They are key. So as such, women empowerment is very critical to development at any level.
How will you rate the performance of those you have engaged so far in the governance of the state?
Well, they are doing very well. They are doing very well, and we have identified their area of specialization, and they are doing very, very, very well.
President Buhari's engagements in Aswan, Egypt continue. From Aswan, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And we are not done with the Aswan conference, as Nigeria and the Arab Republic of Egypt have pledged to collaborate more effectively towards eradicating the menace of terrorism and insurgency, not only In the North and West African sub-regions, but across the continent, this came to light at a bilateral engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari and his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on the margins of the Aswan Forum on Sustainable Peace and Development in Africa. We will bring you details later. And back home, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has for the first time led a roundtable conference on solutions to agriculture and rural development challenges in the country as against the standing legislative process of public hearing. Minister of Agriculture, Mohammed Sabu Nanunu, at the conference said the federal government is fully committed to ensure youth involvement in its wealth creation projects and programs. Let's now join National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu for details.
The coming together of stakeholders here is as a result of the Senate resolution for the Senate Committee on Agriculture to review policies and programs for the diversification of the Nigerian economy.
The challenge is currently being addressed as a component of import substitution policy, in which intermediate technologies are to be deployed to over 600 local governments in collaboration with Brazilian and Chinese.
Is to work with key stakeholders to build an agricultural business economy capable of delivering sustained prosperity by meeting domestic food security goals, generating exports, and supporting sustainable income and job growth.
Agriculture, which is now the major focus of the present administration, the stakeholders said is in need of robust legislations on its identified challenges.
We have all the policies on the ground. What really is the issue? Why are we not making progress in these sectors?
The need to stabilize the policy process for sustained diversification of the economy is critical to producing large incremental output of food and fiber.
With a population of more than 200 million people, the stakeholders said Nigeria occupies about 40% of the agricultural land on the West African sub-region, calling for all hands to be on deck for the realization of President Buhari-led administration's vision on agriculture. In Abuja, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
And still staying with the legislature, the Senate has passed the 2020 statutory budget of the Federal Capital Territory Administration of 232.8 billion naira through second reading. The budget transmitted to the Senate by President Muhammadu Buhari Wednesday this week allocated 121.9 billion naira to capital projects, 53.8 billion for personnel, while overhead cost is 57 billion. The sum of 33 billion naira is to be spent on the decongestion of the FCT City Center. It also passed through second reading the National Health Insurance Scheme Act repeal and reenactment of the National Health Insurance Commission Bill. The legislators observed the International Day of Universal Health Coverage and harped on the need for access to affordable and quality health care. Meanwhile, Senate has mandated its Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to investigate the alleged recent invasion of the court by officers of the Department of State Service. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is seeking to alter the Constitution in order to make justiciable the fundamental right of accessing free basic education. The lawmakers, while debating the general principles of the bill, sponsored by the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, noted the benefits of the bill to citizens and passed it for second reading. It also passed for second reading the 2020 statutory budget proposal of the Federal Capital Territory. Meanwhile, the House has resolved to investigate allegations of corrupt practices in the insurance sector perpetrated by public officials. And the House of Representatives Committee on Youth and Development has called on the Kogi State government to fast-track the construction and rehabilitation work on the NYSC Permanent Orientation Camp in Kaba to enhance security and welfare of corps members and staff. The committee, led by its chairman, Adeyemi Adaramodu made the appeal during its oversight to the camp. Correspondent has the details.
The National Youth Service Corps Permanent Orientation Camp in Kaba, established in 1999, is under rehabilitation with a perimeter fence and other projects yet to be completed. The most challenging issue at the camp is accommodation for staff.
We appreciate the chairman and members for coming around to visit us in our camp with the aim of calling government attention to areas where we are in need of assistance.
The state government is doing a lot to better the lots of corps members serving in Kogi State. But a lot still needs to be done.
We can see the hand of the government on most of the facilities. They are working on them.
The committee chairman, however, told the corps members to make the best use of the camp by embracing youth-oriented schemes of the federal government and other agencies to be entrepreneurs after their service year. During the committee's meeting with the Deputy Governor of Kogi State, the chairman appealed for the state government's intervention to secure the camp.
We want them to have a first-hand experience of how other areas in Nigeria feel like, especially outside their homes.
He wanted to quickly action it, but there would be a balance between meeting the welfare of the civil servants and also executing as many projects as you would want to execute.
The Kaba NYSC orientation camp is currently hosting 905 corps members of the 2019 batch C Stream 2.
Meanwhile, the Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, says the federal government is involving local communities in driving the tourism sector through the establishment of community museums. The minister announced this at the 4th UNWTO Ministerial High-Level segment of the ongoing 4th Conference on Tourism and Culture holding in Kyoto, Japan. Anthony Forsen reports.
In terms of marrying tourism with culture and involving the local community. So I wonder if you could give me an example.
Advancing reasons for the federal government's decision to take tourism to the local communities, Lai Mohammed said it is the only way the rightful owners of the arts and crafts on display at museums in the cities can translate to economic gains to the rightful owners using the Berlin Notes experience, as is the case in Nigeria.
When tourists come, they stay in Lagos, they stay in Abuja, they stay in Kano. And it is the economy of Lagos, Abuja and Kano that actually benefit from the tourist spending. So what the government did was to try and shift the focus. And this time around, we encourage palace and community museums so that tourists can go to the nooks and corners of Nigeria and actually savor the monuments, savor the artifacts, savor our cuisine, savor our cultural tourism. And the money spent there remains in the community. This is how we are trying to balance, and ensure that the money that is spent by tourists actually is retained in the community.
With some palaces already turned into museums in parts of Nigeria, the minister said museums will not be limited to the cities, as Lamido of Adamawa, the Emir of Potiskum, and the Oni of Ife have set the pace.
We are encouraging palaces and the residences of important chiefs to also have their own museums and get people invited there.
Other members of the panel with Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture were from Cambodia, Croatia, Czech Republic, Ghana, Greece, Guinea, and Japan. And as it was made clear by Lai Mohammed, they equally highlighted the different approaches their various governments have taken to safeguard and promote cultural expressions and support for the development of new and sustainable tourism. From Kyoto, Japan, Anthony Forsen, NTA News.
And from Japan to the UAE, where the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Eteibas, has flagged off the construction of Nigeria's latest warship at the Al Wadi Daman Shipyards, United Arab Emirates. The warship is a landing ship tank that will be completed in May 2010. The report.
The key laying ceremony of the landing ship 100 is one of the bold steps by the Nigerian Navy at restoring its sea lift capabilities after decommissioning the last two 10 years ago. The Chief of Naval Staff gave the assurance that when completed, the warship will play a significant role and fill the operational gap created by the decommissioning of NNS Ophium and NNS Ambi.
I do believe that this is the beginning of good things to come. Today's ceremony is a significant step towards actualizing the dream of restoring the Nigerian Navy's sea lift capability.
Marius has never delivered a vessel too late so far, and we are not going to do it with this project either, I can promise you. And we believe that our quality in this yard always should be second to none.
He disclosed that the bid for the construction was quite competitive and Damen Shipyard got the contract following its track record of high-quality shipbuilding capacity, engineering, as well as the company's ability to adhere to timelines for delivery. A landing ship tank is a mission-essential unit in naval warfare deployed primarily for sea lift to transport troops to the theater of operation. The last two landing ship tanks, NNS Ophium and Ambi, performed sea lift operations to Lebanon, and also the logistic platform for ECOMOG operations were commissioned in 1978 and decommissioned 10 years ago. When completed, the ship will be engaged in the protection of maritime resources and the preservation of law and order.
And that warship will actually be completed in 2020. Now, Governor Udom Emmanuel has commended the pace and quality of work at the new international terminal building of the Victor Atta International Airport. The governor gave the commendation during an on-schedule inspection of the project site. Susan Asuko has more.
The new international terminal constructed by the Akwa Ibom State government at the Victor Atta International Airport is one of the signature projects of Governor Udom Emmanuel and will serve as a major gateway to development in the state. Speaking after an unscheduled visit to the project site, Governor Udom Emmanuel said the state government has signed a memorandum of understanding on the maintenance, repairs and overall facility of the Victor Atta International Airport.
This is the only state in the entire continent that is building this type of international terminal building. No state in the whole of Africa is doing this. And look at the quality of airport that we've given to Nigeria. It's comparable to any international airport anywhere in the world. In terms of facilities, our runway is category 2.
The two-decking new international terminal at completion will take about 1 million people. From the Victor Atta International Airport, Susan Asuko, NTA News.
And in an attempt to boost the morale of the military, the Defense Headquarters has inaugurated 2 blocks of 54 flats at the Mogadishu Cantonment, Abuja. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Gabriel Olonishaki, in a message at the inauguration of the furnished apartments for members of the armed forces serving at the DHQ, notes that the federal government will ensure it maintains a trained and equipped armed forces that is responsive to national security commitment. The provision of the furnished flats is part of an ongoing drive to meet the accommodation needs of the personnel at the DHQ.
The President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, for his continued commitment to meeting the welfare needs of members of the Armed Forces of Nigeria. We cannot thank him enough for his support towards our operations, welfare matters, and development.
156 flats were recently inaugurated for soldiers at the Mambila Barracks, while 114 flats were also provided for officers at the Mogadishu Cantonment. And still with the military, the Nigerian Army has reacted to a fake video clip circulating on the social media Portraying alleged capture and killing of some soldiers by Boko Haram terrorists. A statement by the acting director, Nigeria Army Public Relations, Colonel Sagir Musa, indicates that there was no incident that involved the capture and killing of Nigerian soldiers on the 10th of December 2019 as mischievously portrayed in the video. The Nigerian Army enjoined the public and personnel to disregard the inciting video concocted by the outlawed IPOB members to instigate disunity amongst Nigerians. The Nigerian Air Force Air Task Force for Operation Lafia Doli says it has neutralized scores of Boko Haram terrorists and destroyed some of their structures in massive airstrikes conducted yesterday, 11 December 2019. In a statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibikule Daramola says at Kokiwa and Bua Koreje and the fringes of the Sambisa forest in Borno State, the airstrikes were conducted in continuation of Operations Rattlesnake after credible human intelligence reports, which were also corroborated by series of intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance missions established that the BHTs had intensified activities in the targeted settlements with a view to launching attacks against own troops locations in the area. The NAF, operating in concert with surface forces, will sustain its efforts to completely destroy all remnants of the terrorists in the northeast. And now to join Hingino in our Lagos Network Center for more reports on Nationwide. Hello.
Thank you, Hawa, and welcome to Lagos. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has adjourned the trial of the former Speaker, Lagos State House of Assembly, Adeyemi Ikuforiji, and his aide, Oyebode Atoyebi, to the 5th and 19th of February 2020. This followed the rearrangement of the two defendants before Justice Mohammed Liman in a money laundering charges against them, to which they pleaded not guilty. Tunde Saiki reports.
The two accused persons, Adeyemi Ikuforiji and Oyebode Atoyebi, are standing trial on a 54-count charge of money laundering to the tune of 600 million naira belonging to the Lagos State House of Assembly. The rearrangement is following a no-case submission judgment the defendants got earlier in 2014 ruling discharging them on the entire 54 counts placed on them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC). Not pleased with the judgment, the EFCC appealed to the Court of Appeal, and on November 2016, the judgment of the lower court was overruled and ordered Adeyemi Ikuforiji and Oyebode Atoyebi to return to the court to be retried before another judge, and they appealed to the Supreme Court. But in June 2018, the Apex Court upheld the decision of the Court of Appeal. At the resumed rearrangement before Justice Mohammed Liman, the two accused pleaded not guilty to the 54-count charge. The retrial judge said in his independent opinion he is relying on the former application of the bail condition, which was earlier granted the accused during the former arraignment in 2014, and ordered the previous authorities to come and renew the agreement within 7 days. Justice Mohammed Liman therefore adjourned the matter to the 5th and 19th of February 2020 for the commencement of trial. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
Now to revenue matters. Strategizing towards achieving a mechanism to block revenue leakages, diversion of funds, and recover unremitted revenues is part of agreement by participants at the just concluded retreat organized by the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. Our correspondent reports.
This gathering of experts in revenue matters with the theme Consolidating the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission for greater efficiency, issues, expectations and way forward is aimed at preparing new members of the Commission for the task ahead of them, such as blocking revenue leakages. Various speakers at the retreat are advocating the development of the non-oil sectors like agriculture and solid minerals to boost the nation's revenue generation.
The Commission will rededicate itself in the actualization of its mandate, and that includes ensuring that the remittance to the Federation account is optimized and the revenue generating agencies are better positioned to discharge on their mandate.
The issue of parameters being used to determine what is allocated to each state and local government also came to the fore.
It's also an opportunity for them to review their current position, to also be able to advise the federal government and Nigerians in general who, they are serving.
It's a whole process, and they have to take quite a number of parameters in place, including the revenue generation as we're looking at.
At the end of the retreat, participants unanimously agreed that for the Commission to function well, its enabling law should be amended to guarantee its financial independence and power of enforcement.
The Nigerian Army 68th Reference Hospital, Yaba, has offered its services to the public free of charge by way of a medical outreach. Lynn Leneke reports that residents of Ojuelegba in Lagos were the beneficiaries this time around.
Typical of Ojuelegba, people gathered at several spots, some waiting to take transportation to their various destinations. A different kind of crowd is gathered today. The reason is a medical outreach organized by the 68th Nigerian Army Reference Hospital, Yaba. The exercise afforded residents the opportunity of accessing various medical care, which include blood pressure and diabetic checks, dental care and eye tests, free of charge.
I have the eyes problem like 2 years ago. But now the doctor come and give me eyeglass. I can see it well.
This is good. We are benefiting from this, and we thank the Army.
The Chief Medical Officer of the 68th Nigerian Army Reference Hospital stressed that the gesture, which is extending humanitarian services to their host community, is also meant to solidify civil-military relations.
The Chief of Army Staff vision is what we are fulfilling. The vision is to have a professionally responsive Nigerian Army in the discharge of its constitutional role.
Earlier, officers and men of the hospital participated in a health walk. In Lagos, Lynn Leneke, NTA News.
That's it from Lagos. We now take a break. Nationwide continues shortly.
They swore an oath to serve our fatherland and defend the people. They traded their freedom, comfortable homes and mortgaged their lives on the battleground for our unity and peaceful living. These are the great, fearless, loyal and committed Nigerian armed forces who risked their lives courageously to safeguard our borders. But in the line of duty, many never returned. Nigerians, arise, let's celebrate our fallen heroes. Put on the remembrance emblem with pride to support the incapacitated and families of our fallen heroes.
It is indeed befitting to honor the memory of the gallant hearts of the men who paid the supreme sacrifice to keep the country united.
President Muhammadu Buhari enjoins all ministries, parastatals, religious and corporate bodies to donate generously to the Emblem Appeal Launch. Send your donations to these accounts. Account name, Emblem Appeal Launch. Account number 393-200-7526. EcoBank Nigeria PLC.
The attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals SDGs relating to primary and junior secondary education is being driven by the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC. The UBE program is providing free basic education for every Nigerian child of school-going age, with government's increased relevance through access, quality and equity. That is not all. The UBE program is also ensuring the acquisition of ethical, moral and civil values needed for a better society.
Nigeria is rich in culture, diversity, style, fashion, and delicacies. The authentic Nigerian food, fashion, and hair fair gives you the opportunity to showcase the best creativity in Nigerian food, fashion, styles in natural hair and braids. Don't miss this event. The 2-day event is taking place at the prestigious Balmoral Convention Center, Federal Palace Hotel, Ahmadu Bello Way, Victoria Island, Lagos. Time is 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily from 16th to 17th of December 2019. Register now at www.authenticniger.com.ng to book your participation as an exhibitor. For bookings and inquiries, please call 0701 312 2480 or 0812 415 4257 or 0708 006 3188 or 0812 3612685. You can also send us an email at info@authenticniger.com.ng. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Niger Authentic. See you soon.
My name is Giato Adeza Adams, the General Manager, Corporate and Strategic Communications, Nigerian Port Authority. As regards the land borders closure, available statistical data from APMT, which is one of our terminal operators that is involved in container handling terminal, has recorded an increase of 200 TEUs of cargoes into their terminal as a result of cargo diversion from the vessels originally meant for neighboring countries. That shows you that the terminal operators is going to have an increase in revenue, which is accrued to the terminal, and at the same time, Nigerian Port Authority will equally benefit from the revenue increase. So that is the benefit we have derived from the border closure.
Thanks for rejoining us. It's still nationwide. First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, has re-emphasized that peace is the panacea for the socio-economic development of any nation. She said women as mothers should inculcate the idea of peace right from the home, as the family remains the basic unit of the society. Tessie Omer reports that Mrs. Buhari shared this opinion during a high-level meeting of the Global Peace Women, an international non-governmental organization in Abuja.
Meeting by the Global Peace Women is coming on the heels of the critical role women play in nation building, especially with their unique futures as natural connectors and peacemakers. On the need to sustain peace, the First Lady, who was represented, shared the vision of the Global Peace Women by encouraging women as mothers, wives and daughters to start the culture of peaceful coexistence right from the home front, despite the changing times.
As we promote peace, we should also promote education of women so that they can meaningfully bring impact in the area of peace and development.
The Visiting Secretary General of the Global Peace Women, Dr. Sunu Kang, says with over 200 million people of different faiths and over 250 ethnic groups in Nigeria, unity of purpose must be sustained, and women as natural peace builders must be in the forefront of the campaign.
Without uplifting ourselves, there is no one can respect you. You are an important person in your family as well as society.
With the high rate of divorce, drug and substance abuse, illiteracy and other social vices, wife of the former Vice President and President Global Peace Women in Nigeria, Hajia Amina Namadi Sambu, maintains that women must be proactive to curtail such ills.
We believe family as the cornerstone of healthy societies and nations will make the world prosper.
The women, irrespective of their profile, with unanimous voice, say the battle to sustain peace can be achieved if all women do their parts.
The ministry will continue to work with such credible organization to ensure that we bring peace to Nigeria.
We need to train our children in a proper way so that when they grow, they will not depart from peace.
Because women are known to be strengthened ones in the family. They are the ones that keep the globe afloat.
Global Peace Women is a subsidiary of Global Peace Foundation with the vision to strengthen the family as a basic unit, promote gender equality and peaceful coexistence in nations. In Abuja, Tessie Omeri, NTA News.
And Kemi in our Ibadan Network Center will now guide us on top stories from that zone. Good afternoon to you.
An hour and welcome to Ibadan. Active involvement of youth in the process of peace building has been identified as a key factor that can sustain Nigeria's development. Ayomiko Ajibola reports that this focus was at a workshop held in Ibadan to equip youth with skills to become agents of peace in the country.
With the state of safety and security in Nigeria in recent times being at the front burner of many national issues, this workshop is aimed to equip the youth with skills of effective mediation and alternative dispute resolution mechanism to enable them act as agents of peaceful coexistence, describing sport as universal language with powerful tools to promote peace, tolerance, and understanding by bringing people together across boundaries. Various speakers, including Minister for Youth and Sport Development, Oyo State Governor, among others, agreed that youth inclusion in peace and security agenda in the society is key to building a sustainable peace.
In many conflict situations, the predominant demography is the youth. And therefore, it requires that these youth should have a different perspectives to how to manage conflict situations.
More programs, like this will further invigorate, the mindset, of our youth and let them know what their responsibility, is.
And I believe the youth that have been gathered here will carry or move forward the ideas gathered to other young persons that are not opportune to be here.
Selected Nigerian youth from the 6 geopolitical zone across the country attended the workshop in Ibadan. Ayomiko Ajibola, NTA News.
It's indeed a season of love, joy and peace as NTA Ibadan Network Center held its annual Christmas Carol and 9 lessons with the theme Exceeding Great Joy. Omokainde Igbari reports.
With thanks to God, all staff, well-wishers and invited guests gathered together at the NTA premises to celebrate the birth of Christ in a unique way. Clerics who witnessed the event called on Christians not to see the season as merrymaking alone, but time to give.
When we think of Christmas, we think of a Redeemer, the one that can save, when we cannot save ourselves.
While others called for a New Year resolution that will surely reflect in their ways of life in the coming year.
I just want to encourage everybody to show some love this season. The festival time is approaching so fastly. We should do things in moderation.
We should endeavor to be reborn.
Organizers of this year's NTA Carol of 9 lessons, however, appreciated all who dedicated their time for the event.
To give back to God, there's nothing we can give to God more than to praise Him and worship Him.
The grace the Lord has given us, so we want to demonstrate it to everybody that at least we are happy, we have that exceeding great joy in ourselves and in our Lord.
Service of Carol began in 1818 in her village called Obeden in Upper Australia on the eve of Christmas in Ibadan. Omokainde Igbari, NTA News.
Stakeholders have advocated sensitization of farmers to boost the nation's economy. This came to the fore during a sensitization program for farmers at Ogoluwa Surulere Federal Constituency in Ogbomoso. Details with Adibola Agbaje.
Farmers described the border closure by the federal government as a good decision that will help agricultural sector achieve a successful diversification. The farmers urged the government to help in times of protecting farm produce.
We see that when I'm harvesting my yams, I make sure to carry it to the marketers. It's not compulsory for me to go to the market.
We are lost evidence. But now we have already knowledge about this to be recovered.
The lecturer said government is making all efforts when talking about diversification of economy.
So we should encourage our farmer to get hybrids for a better farm produce.
The sensitization program was organized for farmers and also to train youths on different vocational skills. The program is part of the federal government initiative to promote local production in 15 different senatorial districts of Nigeria. From Ogbomoso, Adebola Agbaje, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. Howard, back to you.
Many thanks to you, Kemi. And moving on, the quest for sustainable delivery of administrative services across government establishments continues, with the agency responsible for that looking inwards to recognize and reward excellence. Abubakar Usman Akwanga was at the Servicom end-of-the-year performance evaluation meeting where service delivery to achieve mandates and earn public trust were stressed.
The roadmap defining the future of every organization is a story told by a Servicom Nodal Officer, Dr. Umar Tijani, who rose to the rank of Permanent Secretary in the State House. His story inspires Nodal officers at this conference aimed at improving performance and services that will provide evidence-based decision and leadership management procedures.
I think it's been started. There's a circular that emanated from the Federal Executive Council regarding Servicom funding and other things. But then we should take it further than that and do things that will entrench a sustainable service delivery improvement program.
Servicom is building more efficient platforms through collaboration with international agencies for effective service delivery.
This is taking Servicom to the next level and working in tandem with the aspiration of the present government to ensure that lives are touched and that indeed the policies made by government is truly implemented to touch the lives of the people.
Outstanding performances were rewarded to boost morals and motivate officers to continue offering quality service.
The bill for the establishment of service compact with all Nigerians was signed into law in 2004 and has remained a reliable network for making working environment much better and ensuring citizens focused service delivery. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Kano State government is to produce a strategic blueprint to reinvigorate the economy of the state through the creation of a conducive investment environment. This prompted Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje to lead members of the State Executive Council and top government functionaries to a 3-day retreat in Kaduna. The report.
It was a gathering of policy makers, technocrats and political leaders of Kano State. They are here to examine challenges responsible for a decline in the state's economic growth indices, especially with regard to internally generated revenue.
Concerning the education sector, we've already made a pronouncement that education in Kano from now is free, compulsory, from basic to secondary education.
Already courageous efforts was made to harness the latent resources and synchronize all available opportunities towards actualizing the outlined goals.
Stakeholders believe that if fallouts of the retreat are religiously implemented, Kano State will return to the path of rapid transformation, with citizens enjoying the dividends of democracy. In Kaduna, Amina Saidu, NT News.
And Ogochukuka is in Benin with more reports. Hello.
Thank you for joining us. Governor Ifeanyi Okowa wants Deltans to toe the path of righteousness. This, he says, will make the society safe. It is contained in his message to the 2019 Stakeholders Conference on Sexual and Gender-Based Violence in Asaba. Rosemary Omani has details.
Sexual and gender-based violence ranges from rape, wife battery, emotional abuse, to mention a few. The women and children are most vulnerable. The act has been condemned worldwide. Delta State is not an exception to finding a solution to the ugly trend. In this regard, a one-day stakeholders meeting on sexual and gender-based violence was organized by the Delta State Sexual and Gender Violence Response Team and the Office of Her Excellency, wife of the Governor and founder of O5 Initiative, Dame Edith Okowa.
How is it that a woman will go almost out to the bed, sit in front of the congregation, supposedly church, facing the pastor, confusing the man, and say that the man raped you, you invited a rape.
The governor, through his deputy, re-emphasized the need for godly life for a better society.
It's a very, very disturbing phenomenon. And it is our hope that such stakeholders' engagements will provide ways to taking us out of this menace.
There was a lecture titled Standing Against Rape and All Forms of Sexual and Gender-Based Violence in Asaba. I am Rosemary Omani, NTA News.
Caregivers of the persons living with disabilities are renewing the clamor for the inclusion of this set of persons in the society. It was at this year's celebration of the World Disability Day at the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul Rehabilitation Center, Osiomo, Edo State. Peter Oibo reports.
The celebration of the day was to create awareness on the critical needs of persons living with disabilities in the state and provide them accessible economic support. The administrator of the Rehabilitation Center, Reverend Sister Julina Okeke, is determined that persons with disabilities need to be given more opportunities to excel in the society.
All of you should make ways and remove every barrier that limits the persons with disabilities. So when we talk about persons with disability, it is all inclusive.
Resource person at the event, a director, Center for Citizens with Disability Lagos, David Ayenele, advised them never to relent in pursuing their dreams in life.
When I say inclusion, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the ability to participate in society on equal basis with others, without discrimination, without barriers.
Awards were given to outstanding partners for their contributions to the center. A road walk preceded the celebration in Benin Metropolis in commemoration of the day. From Abuja, Peter Oibo, NTA News.
And now, having youths that are intellectually driven with the right orientation and mindsets will bring development to any country. This is the submission of experts at an intellectual gathering comprising youths in Benin City. Again, Peter Oibo has details.
Research has shown that no meaningful development can take place without the active participation of youth in all aspects of human endeavor. This is because they constitute 42% of people who are under the age of 25. In Africa alone, 226 million youths aged 15 to 25 are inhabitants, accounting for 19% of the global youth population. And by 2030, it is projected that the number of youth would have grown by 7%. It is a known fact that so much is expected of them, and to keep them on the right track, key players have been playing their role through various options. It was outlined that courtesan, rape, thuggery, armed robbery, and drug abuse are some antisocial behaviors posing a threat to youth development in Nigeria.
Morality is down in the society today. No society excels if it looks down on its values.
Everybody is ready to get money by all means. The young girls are ready to sell their body for money, to be a slave queen, to be on top.
We are trying to preach to them, talk to them about the essence of some of the negative decisions that they will take, the effect it's going to have on them.
This program is meant to redirect the path of every student.
It is a consensus that all hands must be busy to effect a change as it concerns youths and development. In Benin, Peter Oibo, NTA News.
You're still on to Nationwide. A break is next. Stay tuned for more reports.
And beyond. As Goge Africa turns 20, we thank you and invite you to join us in the quest for 20 must-visit destinations in partnerships with the largest TV network in Africa, the NTA, Ministry of Information and Culture, Ministry of Transportation, Studio 24, Delta Airlines, Toll Brokers International. You too can still be a partner. Call the numbers on your screen or info@gogeafrica.tv. Goge Africa, celebrating 2 decades of heritage, travel and tourism.
Border. Recently, we've been experiencing massive surge in demand. Our sales per day now is going to be between 15 to 20,000 birds. We needed to expand all avenues because of the multiplier effect it's creating. And the most interesting thing about this closure is that many of my farmers today are farmers we recruited recently, and they are young graduates. What the government is doing will lead us right. And I can tell you, if the government sustains this thing, sky will not even be our limit.
Thanks for rejoining us. On a report just in says the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has secured another victory against corrupt public officials, coming barely a day after the conviction and sentencing of a former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzo Kalu, to 12 years in prison for 7.65 billion fraud in Ikoyi, Lagos. Justice Tijani Garba Ringim of the Federal High Court in Owerri had granted a final forfeiture of 1.5 billion naira state-of-the-art 200-bedded hospital, the dues of Hope Hospital, Owerri, allegedly owned by an aide of the former Imo State Governor and a 7th Senator, Rochas Okorocha. The Commission had, on the 22nd August 2019, obtained the interim forfeiture of the property from a vacation judge, Honorable Justice Mohammed of the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt. In the course of the investigation, some funds were traced from the account of the government house, Owerri, to the hospital. The Commission also secured the conviction and sentencing of 2 top officials of Bank PHB, now Keystone Bank, Anayo Ngosu and Olajide Oshodi, alongside an Indian, Ashok Israni, to 5 years each. Ashok Israni, an Indian businessman who was equally sentenced to 5 years in prison before Justice Kudirat Jose of the State High Court, Igbo Shere, Lagos State. This is contained in the statement signed by Wilson Uwujare, Head Media and Publicity of the EFCC. Also jailed are Nulek Industries Limited, belonging to Israni, and the Keystone Bank Limited. Meanwhile, the Commission has received an award of excellence in service delivery as the best MSU for 2019. Sports now. Okay, with the presentation of a book titled Drug Abuse and Trafficking by Dr. Moses Ediru, the public and relevant regulatory agencies are now well equipped with pragmatic approach towards tackling incessant cases of drug abuse and trafficking in the country, a menace that seems to have defied solution. Let's now join Kenneth Nanim for more. And sports is next.